Chapter 9. Zoe stared at the new kid. He'd never even spoken to her before this morning, and now here he was, in her menagerie, holding a mythical creature as if he did it every day. "I'm just kidding," he said. "I know it's a griffin." The little golden cub batted huge, innocent eyes at Zoe. She couldn't believe it. It really was one of the griffin cubs, just sitting there in Logan's arms. Surprise and anxiety warred with relief, and relief quickly won. "You really did! You found him!" Zoe leaped past the hellhound and scooped up the cub, expertly avoiding his sharp claws and tucking his wings neatly around him. She was so happy to have one of the griffins back that she didn't even care for the moment that a stranger had somehow snuck into the menagerie. "Are you okay, little guy?" Zoe cooed to the griffin as she ran her hands lightly over his feathers and fur, checking for injuries. "He seems okay to me," said Logan. "He ate like a truckload of hamburger meat at my house, plus some mouse food. Hope that's not bad for him." "Don't worry," Zoe said. "Griffins can pretty much eat anything. The younger ones especially were the least picky eaters in the whole menagerie." She hugged the golden cub to her chest. The griffin gurgled and flapped as if he wanted to be set down. He did seem fine, but Zoe had no intention of letting go of him. "Where did you find him?" she asked. "And how did you know he belonged here?" "He was hiding in my room when I got home from school, and then he told me he lived here with dragons, and so I asked him to bring me." "He told you? No way! Griffins can't talk to humans until they're a year old." Zoe lifted one of the cub's wings to show the thicker feathers growing in underneath. "This litter's only 4 months old, which is why they're scattering feathers everywhere as their new ones grow in. And look at the color of his beak. That'll get darker as he gets older. Plus, he'll get bigger, although they all grow at different speeds. Not to mention, I was there when he cracked his egg, so I know how old he is. Point being, he couldn't have told you anything. Where did you really find him?" "I'm not lying," Logan said, sounding a bit hurt. "He was under my bed, and he does talk to me." He paused, cocking his head. "He says to tell you he has a name now, and he wants you to call him Scorp, like I do." "You can't call him Scorp," Zoe cried, outraged. "That's the sound griffins make when they burp." "Mork!" Scorp declared passionately. "Well, he likes it," Logan said. He paused again. "He says to tell you he likes it better than Leo." Zoe sucked in a breath. She was the only one who ever called the cub that. When there was no one else around, griffins usually announced their names after a year, once they could talk to people. But she'd been hoping Leo would pick, well, Leo. "But Leo is noble and dignified," she protested. "And Scorp is so true," Logan suggested. "Funny and true." She looked down at the cub, who smiled his serene eagle smile at her. She said. Was it really possible? She'd never heard of griffin cubs talking to people. If they could, why didn't they talk to her? She was the one who read to them and fed them treats and dried their feathers for them when it rained. "Can you believe this?" Logan said with a grin. "Can you believe we're standing here next to a pair of unicorns talking about what to call a baby griffin? A griffin, Zoe!" She tried not to smile back. A stranger in the menagerie was serious business. Serious, Snappa might shut us down business. She was officially not allowed to get excited about maybe having someone new to talk to. But what was she supposed to do? Not talk to him? "This is kind of my everyday life," she said ruefully. "Your everyday life is amazing," he said. It had been a long time since Zoe had stopped to think about the amazingness of the menagerie. "Well," she said, "keep in mind it's a little less amazing when you're checking griffin cubs for ticks and trying not to get pecked." She waved one hand at the massive dog behind her. "And you do not even want to know about hellhound pooper scooping." "Zoe," Logan said intently, as if she needed to be woken up. He pointed at Charlie. "Unicorns! Real live unicorns!" Cleo snorted from her stall. "I approve of your level of awe, young man," she said. Now, if everyone could learn to bow when they enter, we'd be on the right track. Zoe whipped around to stare at the unicorn. Are you finally talking to us again? Zoe asked. She hadn't heard a word out of the unicorns in a month, but they were always having diva fits about something. Cleo lifted her horn up in the air and stamped in a circle until her rear end was facing Zoe. So that answered that question. Come on, Zoe said. Won't you at least tell us what we did this time? A frigid silence answered her. Inform the girl, Charlie said, pointing to Logan, that we may be speaking to you, as you have yet to mortally offend us. But we are certainly not speaking to her, nor to any of the other uppity serfs around here. Logan says, Charlemagne says, I heard him, Zoe said. Everyone can hear unicorns, unfortunately. Oh, really? Said Cleo, her voice echoing against the wooden boards of her stall. You wouldn't know it from the way we're treated around here. Zoe sighed and rubbed her forehead. Molly coddling unicorns was not on her to-do list for the day. She had enough to worry about. They still had 5 griffins to locate and bring back. And then people could stop blaming her for their escape, and life could just go back to normal. Let's go find my dad, she said. She squeezed the griffin cub against her chest. He'll be so happy to see you, little guy. Grrr, the griffin protested. She would never, ever get used to calling him Scorp. Um, Logan said pointedly at the hellhound who still had him fixed in her glowing red glare. Oh, she's not as scary as she looks, Zoe said. Ripper, at ease. The hellhound immediately relaxed, and her enormous tongue lolled out. She even wagged her tail at Logan. Zoe didn't like the look of that. The hellhounds weren't supposed to like anyone who didn't work at the menagerie. Zoe fished a protein bar out of the treat bag on her hip and tossed it to Ripper. The griffin tried to snatch it out of the air, but the hellhound growled, and he shrank back into Zoe's arms. Protein bars? Logan asked, watching in awe as Ripper wolfed down the snack, wrapper and all. Yeah, said Zoe. My mom has this theory that if you never feed them human flesh in the first place, then they won't develop a taste for it. Logan blinked several times. But so they normally most hellhounds eat people, Zoe said. Don't you know anything about mythical creatures? I know they don't exist, Logan said. He smiled at the cub. So, no, I guess I don't know anything. He followed her past the hellhound to the door. What is this place? Zoe chewed her lip, thinking. It went against all her training to tell him anything, but he'd seen way too much already. And when she did ever get to talk about them, when did she ever get to talk about the menagerie? She had never, not once in her 12 years, gotten to tell someone the truth about her life. It's the menagerie, she said slowly. It was weirdly thrilling to say it out loud. My family, we've been the caretakers here for several generations, but it's really, really top secret. I won't tell anyone, Logan promised. It was kind of sweet that he thought they'd just take his word for it. His hand twitched toward Ripper as if he was thinking about petting her, but he wisely thought better of it. Could I maybe see a dragon before you kick me out? Sure thing. We give tours of our top secret facility all the time. On the other hand, the dragons were pretty cool, and Zoe had always wanted to show off the menagerie, the only thing in her life she was actually good at, since it was the only thing she had any time for. She wondered what her parents would think of Logan. There was one thing they could do to fix this, but maybe they didn't have to do it right away. Maybe she could show Logan around first. We'll see, she said. Come on, let's go find my dad. So, readers, I don't know about you, but it seems like Zoe was kind of confused as why the animals liked Logan so much. I mean, he could hear Scorp talking, and the unicorns liked him, and even the hellhound liked him. I wonder if this makes Logan some kind of special character that's going to have special like powers in the menagerie that they don't even know about. Hmm. Let's keep reading to find out.